King Charles, the first official portrait of the monarch since his coronation. Oh, King Charles. Yeah, right? Super, super amazing stuff. And, well, you may notice I'm wearing my red today as a, the Red King business going on. But, right, because I'm making fun of the portrait here. Now, if you guys saw this portrait, it again is, just unveiled today. This is making all the news for all the royal stuff, if you guys are into the royal stuff. By the way, I'm not. I think the royal stuff is incredibly weird. It's Kardashians times 10, all the drama that goes on with that and the paparazzi and, just the weird legacy and, the Prince Andrew and the Epstein connections and the CIA and the MI6. I mean, there's just the colonial legacy, the military legacy, the legacy of the church. It's just a lot. It's a lot. Okay. And when we first did a show a ways back, this is probably a year and a half back. I don't know. It all blends together because time flies when you're having fun, as they say, right? But the weird part is this. Let's save that. Let's save that. It's too much, too fast before I get ahead of myself. Back to this. Now let's look at this. Look at this photograph. And it's not a photograph. It's a painting. And it is of the king. All right. King Charles. I barely know his name. I know his name because it's in the headline. So I'll read you the headline, King Charles. All right. That's how I know who this is. That's how closely I follow these people because they make no difference to me. That really, they don't except when we were recently talking about that Ghostbusters Vigo, the Carpathian, and that weird painting that was sort of a manifestation of that ancient power of Vigo, okay, from Ghostbusters. Notice we were just talking about that yesterday and the day before. Oddly enough. Well, today they unveiled this painting, and let's read a little bit from the article here so we can do this properly. So the official royal portrait of King Charles has been revealed, painted by artist Jonathan Yeo, Y-E-O. It's his first portrait as king since his coronation last year, and the painting is covered in a bright red color and features a butterfly on the king's shoulder. Weird. So what is the story behind the vibrant painting and why do royals have painted portraits? And this is a nice article. You can kind of read some of this stuff, and I'm going to read just a smidgen of this so we know there's a legacy here of the first painting after the coronation of a king of England, okay, or, the United Kingdom or whatever you want to call it these days. I know it's contentious and everybody gets mad. Big mad, super double big mad, whatever. Anyway, forgive me for not being a P's and Q's type of guy. Look, I don't know. I'm sorry. I've never been there, and they probably won't let me in anyway. But anyway, so why do we have portraits of royals? This is straight from that BBC article. So, like many things concerning the royal family, it's about history and tradition. Before we had good quality cameras, or any cameras at all, of course, kings and queens used to choose a royal painter to come and do their portrait. Right? Seems fine, right? How the monarch looked in the portrait was important. It would be shown for years to come. Often kings and queens wanted to put across a certain impression of themselves in their portrait. Historians can learn a lot about a person from their royal portrait and by looking at how they're shown in the picture. For example, if the painting makes them look big or intimidating, they can begin to piece together what their character may have been like. Okay, so meaning that at the behest of the coronated kings of the ancient British family, royal family, they were like, hey, I want it to look like this. I want you to represent me as such, okay? And this finishes here. So there used to be a lot of pressure on whoever painted the portrait. If the king or queen didn't like it, they would be in for a rough time. The BBC, so cute and so cheeky. But okay, so here's just a couple examples. We got, of course, everybody knows Henry VIII over there on the left, if you guys are watching the stream. And on the right is going to be his father, which would be Henry VII, of course, which comes before 8. In any case, so that one on the left is probably the most famous one, Henry VIII being, the off with their heads king, and Anne Boleyn and all those wild and crazy stories. Okay, so now back to this. Now, with that just said, what I just read there, think about it. So at the behest of the coronated individual, the king himself, all right, they worked in tandem with these artists, and there was a ton of pressure to show the people what the king wanted them to be portrayed as, right? Forever. I mean, because it's the first one. It's like it's sort of the tone setting of the new reign or whatnot. Okay. Well, as we know, King Charles he's old, and I think didn't he recently get a cancer diagnosis? I hope he gets better. All the rest of that stuff, like just because they're irrelevant to me, they're still people. Cross your fingers on that. And I know there's some jokes regarding that about them not being human. Shout out David Icke, but there's still people. So let's hope that he beats cancer quickly and recovers fully and lives a long, healthy, happy life. Okay. And with all that said, though, this is what we get, this particular portrait of him working in tandem with this artist. And this is the portrayal. I mean, it's a surrealistic thing. Look, I'm going to expose myself for being like an art, not snob. That's the wrong word. An art neophyte. Okay. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm not a painter. I don't have this talent. So all this stuff is amazing to me. And I appreciate people that can do things that I probably would never have a skill to do without a ton of practice. Okay. So this has never been my skill set. I'm a writer. I'm a word guy. I'm not a visual artist, this type of thing. But let me tell you what, when you look at this, it seems like he's stepping out of the gates of hell. Am I right? There's a lot of the alchemical tradition kind of coming out in this with the Red King, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And I mean, are you kidding me that this is what we're dealing with when we're like, yeah, this is going to be my first portrait. It's going to be sort of a surreal representation of the Red King stepping out of the gates of hell. What? Like, are you seriously joking me? Yeah, I mean, come on now. Let's be real about that. This almost seems like a snub, like an abomination of sorts, like a cosmic joke. I don't know. It's weird. Okay. But you know me. So not only that, we've been talking about icons and let's say the portraits being painted and having magical powers of some sort regarding, holy powers. They hang these things in churches with, actual paintings of saints in the old ways, the Eastern Orthodox Church specifically. We talked about that. But then also, so not just having infusing magic into the painting itself, and then having that resonate into the holy space, the church. Okay, and then also we talked about recently a couple times in the past 6 months the idea of a hell icon, which was one of these holy icons, okay, of a saint or something, but buried beneath the veneer of the top cover of the saint itself. Buried beneath was like some sort of a demonic, devilish type imagery that was supposed to be the inversion of the power they were invoking. Not a holy power, but an unholy power, okay? And that's called a hell icon, which we've talked about recently a couple times. So, and this is what I mean. It is strange how some of the stuff kind of bubbles up to the top and it catches my attention, and then we talk about it, and it's like, yeah, it's going to be a one-off. And then it came up again, in about 4 or 5 months span. We did two shows kind of with art and magic and this type of thing. But now it seems like it's culminated in this. Like we were sniffing this out somehow, that this was going to be this big reveal of which, look, I had no idea this was a tradition. I had no idea they were working on this behind the scenes. I had no idea. Except, doesn't this seem exactly like that stuff we were talking about? This very, very weird, well, yeah, like a hell icon of sorts, or something to this effect. Okay, and it got me thinking exactly about that. Now, specifically, if you go into folklore and I tried to digging into my Dungeons and Dragons knowledge base, and I couldn't find anything that was like specifically like geomancy, something like this. There was a specific magical power where through the painting process, you have the talent to create magical portraits. And again, philosophical constructs, all the disclaimers apply. If you don't believe any of this stuff, that's cool. We're just talking about ideas, okay? I'm not sure I do either, to be perfectly honest, and I'm not the arbiter of any truth, especially a cosmic truth. That's way above my pay grade. So all the disclaimers do apply. Okay, now back to this. So there was no actual thing specific to painting as some sort of magical aspect, okay? No name. Now, it wasn't geomancy. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. I dug a little bit. I couldn't find anything, but I did find a list, and we'll get back to this list momentarily. But there was a list, of course, thanks to the new GPT, which is incredible, by the way. There's a list of, let's say, a batch of different old school magical effects. Okay, actual magical schools of magic, let's say, that seem to come together in this painting, ritual painting of putting magic out there in the world. Okay, back to the saints and the hell icons and that type of stuff. Some sort of actual Anyway, there's no direct name for it, but there is a list of 6 that kind of fit like they might. So we'll talk a little bit about sympathetic magic tonight. Sigil magic, theurgy, alchemy, necromancy, and of course geomancy, as I stated there. So there's a lot of these things coming together into this one particular skill of creating a hell icon or an actual holy icon that they hung in church, right, back in the Eastern Orthodox, like we've talked about semi-recently. But also then you go back to this and you look at the painting of this guy. And am I not tripping when this looks like it is the Red King stepping out of the gates of hell? Like, what is that behind him? All that red surrealism. Is it like plasma from the void? Like as he, kind of ushers in hell itself into our realm? I mean, seriously? No offense to the artist. And by the way, the artist's name, I said his name earlier, is Jonathan Yeo. And he's a talented guy, and he was very sick when he was young, and he overcame that, taught himself to paint when he was sick. And so his Wikipedia is there. I'll have it linked in the description. Do check it out. Now, nothing against the guy, but if he worked with the king to make this portrait, and this is supposed to be the everlasting legacy of how we're supposed to remember this king, what the hell is going on here, guys? You get what I mean. My tinfoil is tingling. And of course, the Twitter hot takes, and I wasn't the only one to notice that specifically, it kind of looks like Vigo the Carpathian, that painting a little bit, right? Vigo, the master of evil from Ghostbusters 2, which came up twice this week, okay, during the conversations we've had. So I'm telling you, it feels like in some way we're like tapped into something here. Like we're maybe not manifesting what's happening, but maybe sniffing out what's about to happen before it happens. Because am I right? Does it feel like, and this was announced today, I could not have known this was about to go down, but the conversation this week has really kind of been towing these ideas quite a lot. And then blam, here we are, Magic Wednesday. And we get, King Charles stepping out of the gates of hell with the red plasma swirling around his shoulders like he's, you pick the poison of what he might be. But anyway, wild stuff, lots on deck tonight. And of course, so the question becomes, is any of this even possible? And why on God's green earth does the portrait look like this? Is this art? I mean, look, come on. My ego's fine. But if I was going to be coronated King of England, which I'm not because I'm not English, number one. 2, I don't want to be king of anything other than my own destiny. And weirdness, but I wouldn't want this to be the representation of who I am. You know what I mean? Like, dear God, make it look like I'm in the natural world somewhere, not stepping out of a plasma blast of hell's furnace. Stop this. Anyway, what is happening with this? What is this? Is this just it's modern art, Mike? Chill out. Everything's fine. This photograph is weird. I keep saying photo. It's not a photo, right? You can tell I've never been a painter. It's a painting. All right, this is an actual painting, but it is the first painting after the coronation of King Charles himself. Now, oddly enough, like I said, he recently did come down with cancer. Let's hope he beats it. All the rest of that stuff, I wonder if there's some imagery here that we're supposed to expect. Now, am I wrong in saying, if you guys have seen this photograph, I did it again, if you've seen this actual portrait, the painting, it looks like he's not in a natural space, okay? Not standing in a place not of this world, okay? Whatever that means. You define that however you like. But if you notice on his over his right shoulder, our left, looking at this portrait, it seems to be a natural element here. There is a butterfly hovering above his right shoulder, like a monarch-style butterfly. And it's like, wait, what? What is this? And so I read the article there, and basically he said that the reason he did that, so King Charles supposedly himself requested the butterfly to be in this portrait because he's always been, somewhat of an environmentalist. He sort of deems himself as. And so he thought, a little bit of something from the natural world and maybe a butterfly in there would be, fantastic, right? Well, what about all the rest where there's no natural world whatsoever? I mean, what is going on? Like I said, am I the only one that saw this and went, WTF is going on in this world? Because it seems almost as if this is the ultimate troll. Yeah, the nuclear butterfly. What's a vampire goddess I see in the chat? Yeah, I mean, and that becomes the point, right? That becomes the point. The nuclear butterfly, or this idea of, again, a hell icon being painted into the coronation portrait of King Charles. Weird, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. Again, and Twitter with the hot takes, of course, because that's what Twitter does. So here's him actually at, I'm going to play the video. He actually looks spooked. Check this out. So, okay, I'm not going to play the audio because it's just people clapping. But look at this. So I'm going to play the video just for a second here. We'll loop it a couple times. And he unveils this thing, okay? So it is King Charles, and he pulls the curtain, and the thing comes down, and like he jumps back like he's scared. Like I mean, it might have been because the curtain almost hit him, but there's sort of that like, oh God, like, I'm scared effect. Okay, but look at this thing. Okay. Anyway, so to the Twitter hot takes, because of course the Twitter hot takes are fire. So yeah, there you go. Fixed it. You got the horns. It's the devil with the red eyes. They put a cockroach over his shoulder instead of the butterfly. Links going to be in the description. Here's the one, of course, when I saw this, I was like, exactly. That's it. That's exactly it. And what do they have? They have a still version of this. Okay, let me do this. Open the image in the new tab. Let's do this. Here's the still version, and of course, it is exactly as we've been describing. Yes, Vigo, the master of evil, Vigo, the Carpathian, in the portrait itself that they're unveiling here with King Charles, because, of course, that's exactly what we've been talking about all damn week. Anyway, Twitter and the hot takes, of course, as they do. But look, does it or does it not? Does it or does it not appear as if this dude's stepping out of the gates of hell? Okay. And look, I don't know what the gates of hell look like, but I think, let's say in visual representation style, going back, hundreds or even thousands of years, it probably looks kind of like that. Okay. Dante's Inferno-esque. Okay. Now, you get it? You see what I'm saying? This is weird. This is incredibly weird. Or look, am I the weird one? And this is normal? And this is like, come on, Mike, there's nothing to see here. This is fine. This is fine. This may be fine, or it may not be. I don't know. And that's exactly the point of the conversation tonight. So question number one, is this weird? Is this weird? Is this, again, the first portrait after the coronation of the king? Is this? And is this how you would be represented, you yourself, if you were not the prince of the seventh plane of hell or something, right? I mean, come on now. It does seem very, very strange to me. But so maybe I'm wrong. Does it seem very strange to you? Okay. Yeah. The monarch butterfly. Exactly. There's some actual symbolism there for sure. Okay. All right. So anyway, looking at this thing, it creeps me out a little bit. Does this seem intentional or otherwise? And what is going on with this becomes the question tonight. But then of course it gets us into all the rest of this stuff. And if you remember, we did do a show a ways back, and it was about this exact sort of thing. It was the British Empire and ritual magic itself. And specifically this. We'll start with just this real quick and kind of introduce this idea to merge these things, and then we'll come back and after the break and start taking some calls and talking about this with you guys. But check this out. So this is from bigthink.com, and we did do an entire show on this probably a year and a half ago is what I want to guess. But the headline is, Did Dark Magic Conjure Up the British Empire? And it's speaking specifically about John Dee, who was the court magician of Queen Elizabeth I, okay? Which right now, currently, we just had the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, all right? Seemingly, you figure there'd be hundreds of years ago, maybe another Elizabeth between here and there, but no, it's only the second one. But the weird part about this is, I'll just read the top paragraph and a half. So the British Empire was not founded. It was conjured up by John Dee, Queen Elizabeth I's court magician. There are two versions of the tale. Either Dee summoned a demon, or he sacrificed Christopher Marlowe, a famous playwright, in a blood ritual. And supposedly there's a park in the United Kingdom now that you can still go to, and they have it right here, and they call it the Omphalos. Omphalos, I think. It basically means the navel of the entire British Empire. And they say that this is the actual ritual magic spot where John Dee either sacrificed Christopher Marlowe or summoned a demon to bring in what would become the British Empire. Okay. Now, creepy, right? That's incredibly creepy. We did an entire show on this, and it is a creepy thing just to consider that. Once again, back to the ritual magic stuff. Shout out to Mighty Rohan. We miss you, brother. The Rohan principle. What's more terrifying? That ritual magic is real, or that it's not real whatsoever, but these sickos, these psychopaths, these power brokers, de facto power brokers that have run the world forever, actually believe in this stuff and are doing these bizarre rituals to bring in Lord knows what. Okay. And in this case, yeah, the actual British Empire. So again, obviously the tale is apocryphal. It says there's no evidence except blah, blah, blah. It's circumstantial. Marlowe version is to be believed. Dark magic ritual must have been performed at the end. So it goes into this pretty deeply and pretty well. But again, right, whether this is true or not, and like I said, you decide on this stuff. I'm not these are cosmic declarations of truth that are above my pay grade, okay? I don't know. However, like I said, one way or the other, as the mighty Rohan told us, that isn't it equally terrifying either way, whether this is real or whether these sickos believe it and are doing these weird blood rituals or whatever they are to use this stuff against us, right? Anyway, so that's what's up. We're talking. So I'm calling this tonight the mystical convergence and the royal magic in the British Empire. But beyond that, does it seem like they're still doing it with this particular portrait? And like I said, does it seem like this dude's stepping out of the gates of hell in this portrait? Does it seem that way? Because it seems that way to me. When I saw it, like I heard somebody talking about it on the radio today. I was like, it can't be that bad. And then so I was on a break and I pulled it up on the phone and took a look and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, you got to be kidding me. They were talking about all the red and, wait, what? So I put on my red shirt and we'll talk about the Red King tonight and the White Queen, and we'll talk about alchemy, and we'll talk about a number of things. But there's a lot here, and it does make me wonder what the hell is actually happening with this stuff and how sick these people actually are. Or is it just, us noticing weird things about a weird world? I mean, that could all play. As usual, you guys tell me on where we sit on this, and do you think there's something a little bit more, let's call it possibly sinister, with the representation of King Charles himself and with his inauguration and portrait, which is supposed to, set the tone for his reign. And he's supposed to be remembered by this for, in perpetuity. Yeah, the psychopath's pretty sick. Definitely sinister. Yeah, I see the comments. Thanks, guys, for the great comments. So anyway, pretty wild stuff. Herschel mentioned earlier, maybe it has something to do with the solar eclipse type stuff happening, all the coronal mass ejections. Maybe they timed it to kind of come out with this type of stuff. Like, I don't know. As usual, if you look at this and you consider the possibilities make you scratch your head and go, WTF is going on right about now.